The movie begins by showing a room filled with homemade items. Seen a man named Hwi So out of the shop to go to the volunteer tent by riding a scooter to a festival on campus. There, people were passing by to go to one stand after another. Some girls are also seen showing their dancing talent. Meanwhile, a woman named Hye Jin appears to be playing archery. Arriving at the robotic stand, two of Hwi So's friends named Yang Tae and Chang Gil were seen playing with their assembled robot. While playing, they talk about romantic relationships. Hwi So and his two friends were in charge of the engineering booth while playing with a virtual mechanical robot they designed themselves until they didn't notice a girl visiting their booth to fix her bike. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Hye Jin participates in an archery competition with prizes from the karate club. Despite being paralyzed and having to sit in a wheelchair, Hye Jin is a professional archer with great abilities. Because Hye Jin can easily shoot at any target she wants due to her excellent archery skills, the booth owner, who immediately realized that Hye Jin was a professional archer, felt cheated and disqualified her. However, Hye Jin protested because no rules were listed, stating that an archer was not allowed to participate in the competition, so she felt that she had the right to take home the big teddy bear prize she had won. When Hye Jin was about to leave, suddenly, the wheelchair could not be controlled and continued to slide at high speed until finally she entered the technical booth and fell on the ground. Hwi So, who was there, did not immediately help Hye Jin and instead looked at her wheelchair and said that the remote control was broken. When Hye Jin asks if Hwi So can fix it, Hwi So agrees and spontaneously asks Hye Jin to stand up. Hwi So immediately realizes his mistake and feels guilty for offending her. He actually has a soft heart, but he's not very good at socializing. Fortunately, Hye Jin doesn't mind trivial things like that because she understands well what other people think about her being a person with a disability. After Hwi So fixes her wheelchair, Hye Jin feels very happy and praises Hwi So's abilities. Hye Jin then decides to treat Hwi So to a meal because she doesn't want to be indebted to anyone, as well as a sign of gratitude. Hwi So then recommends a restaurant with a very delicious food menu to Hye Jin. But unfortunately, the journey to the restaurant can only be passed by climbing quite a lot of stairs and also towering. Of course, Hye Jin can't climb stairs in a wheelchair, and the insensitive Hwi So just stands there, offering no solutions. Having promised to treat Hwi So to his favorite restaurant, Hye Jin then asked Hwi So to carry her to the restaurant. Arriving there, Hwi So then orders his favorite food menu at the diner for himself and Hye Jin, and it turns out that Hye Jin also likes it because it tastes so delicious. While they are eating together, Hwi So then explains theoretically why the food could taste so delicious. But then, Hye Jin feeds him the food, so Hwi So stops talking and asks him to enjoy his meal. When they're done eating, Hwi So stands up to say goodbye, but he forgets that Hye Jin can't walk without her wheelchair. Finally, he carries Hye Jin down. Downstairs, they're surprised that Hye Jin's wheelchair is gone. A white car approaches shortly after, and Hye Jin's sister comes out to pick her up. Before leaving, Hwi So gives Hye Jin his student card as collateral because he has to be responsible for returning the wheelchair. At the robotic stand, Hwi So is contemplating how he can return Hye Jin's electric wheelchair. Suddenly, a girl named Ha-na comes looking for Yang Tae, who is currently hiding under the table to avoid her. After discovering his hiding place, Yang Tae asks why Ha-na likes him. Ha-na replies that Yang Tae is handsome and sexy. She then invites Yang Tae to accompany her to an event. Although Yang Tae is reluctant at first, he agrees after Ha-na threatens him. Yang Tae and Ha-na leave, while Hwi So is confused about finding an electric wheelchair in an online store because he doesn't know which wheelchair is similar to Hye Jin's. He then asks Chang Gil for advice, who then says that Hwi So is better off making it himself since he's an engineering student. Hearing this, Hwi So rushes home and starts making a wheelchair. A week later, at Hye Jin's house, she is scolded by her father for missing her wheelchair. Since her father's nagging is too much, Hye Jin asks her father not to interfere, then leaves. After the wheelchair is finished, Hwi So visits Hye Jin's practice site using the wheelchair while carrying Hye Jin's teddy bear. There, he meets a coach who thinks Hwi So wants to register as an archery athlete with disabilities. Finally, Hwi So meets Hye Jin and her friends. Hwi So gets up from the wheelchair and gives it to Hye Jin. Hye Jin's friends are shocked because they think Hwi So has a disability like them. Hye Jin looks happy and immediately tries out her new wheelchair. In the evening, Hwi So, Hye Jin, and her friends gather to celebrate Hye Jin's new wheelchair. They drink beer too, and when Hwi So is asked to join them, he refuses. However, Hye Jin insists that Hwi So join the others for beer. If Hwi So drinks, then Hye Jin wants to be friends with him too. Hearing this, Hwi So finally drinks. Even though he felt a burning sensation in his throat, he ended up continuing until he was drunk. Hye Jin drives a drunk Hwi So to his house, which is also a bicycle shop. It looks like Hwi So's parents are shocked to see their son drunk. Not long after, Hwi So's mother invites Hye Jin to sit in her shop and gives her noodles, which Hye Jin eats without hesitation. Hye Jin then explains the chronology and apologizes for making Hwi So drunk. Unexpectedly, Hwi So's mother thanks Hye Jin because Hwi So went home with his friend drunk for the first time. However, their conversation is interrupted because Hye Jin gets a phone call that requires her to go home. She then said goodbye to Hwi So's mother. The next day, Chang Gil is testing his robot. Hye Ying hugs the robot while Chang Gil himself tries to control the robot. Not long after, Hwi So, still under the influence of alcohol, entered the room, followed by Yang Tae, who informed him that today was match day. Last year, the three of them lost the match and they were punished for taking pictures while showing embarrassing poses with leaflets of photos being spread all over the place. They are very confident about their victory today. Hwi So also asks Hye Jin to join their team. Turns out, the game was a pinball match. Hwi So and his team are discussing their strategy at the match venue. Unfortunately, Hwi So's team lost in the first round. Hye Jin, who initially thought the match was just for fun, became more serious because the team members blamed each other during a break. In the second round of the game, Hye Jin managed to shoot all opponents so that only one person remained. Hwi So's team advances together because they think they will definitely win the game easily. Unexpectedly, the opposing side took out a combat gun and shot Hwi So's team. Hye Jin, who was in the bottom area of the match, then aimed her arrow up, which made Hwi So's team win. The losing team has to take pictures just like what Hwi So, Chang Gil, and Yang Tae did the previous year. At night, Hye Jin and Hwi So rest while enjoying the beauty of the night sky. Hye Jin talked about how difficult it was for her to do anything because she couldn't walk until she became an archer. She then asks why Hwi So likes to build robots. Hwi So replies that robots make life easier for humans. Hearing this, Hye Jin says that if they can do something on their own, there's nothing wrong with doing it, even if it takes time. But when they can't do something, it would be good to get help from humans instead of robots. Elsewhere in the tent, Hwi So's two friends are monitoring Hwi So and Hye Jin from a camera while they are alone. When Hwi So and Hye Jin look close to each other, the two friends think they're kissing. Suddenly, Ha-na and Hye-yoon come to the tent, taking Chang Gil and Yang Tae by surprise. Then, they all join in and celebrate their team's victory. In the days that followed, we saw how Hwi So and Hye Jin were together until Hwi So gave her a medal for Hye Jin to keep. But Hye Jin refuses because Hwi So has to keep his first medal himself. At night at Hye Jin's house, Hye Jin's father plans to buy a new wheelchair for his daughter. At the same time, Hye Jin's younger sister comes and tells her father that she was selected as an exchange student. Her father immediately forbade it because Hye Jin was not married. If she leaves, then no one can take care of Hye Jin. After that, Hye Jin comes and says that she won't be married forever. Her father, who had just seen Hye Jin, immediately asked where his daughter had been. Hye Jin just reasons she went to the practice site so she could come home late. She immediately asked about her father's purpose in talking about marriage. Her father explains that she is getting an arranged marriage. Hye Jin immediately refuses and then leaves the room, threatening if her father follows her, she will end her life. At Hwi So's house, he was seen playing VR, and suddenly Hye Jin came in front of him. Hye Jin then borrows Hwi So's VR, but she looks disappointed because the VR shows how people are walking around enjoying the scenery, while Hye Jin herself can't walk. However, in the end, Hye Jin tries to stay cheerful. Hwi So apologizes for making Hye Jin disappointed. Then, Hye Jin said goodbye to practice for the national match. Before Hye Jin leaves, Hwi So says he promised to come to watch her game. On the day of the match, Hye Jin was visibly in pain from a muscle spasm, so her coach took her to the hospital. Hwi So, who was there, asked about Hye Jin's condition. Hye Jin only explains that it could have happened because of sitting in the wheelchair for too long. After that, Hye Jin's partner asks Hwi So for help to take them to the match venue. Hwi So refuses because he doesn't have a driver's license yet. Hye Jin doesn't believe it, so she tries to persuade him until an assistant administrator comes to escort Hye Jin and her friend. When Hwi So is invited to join, he declines, arguing that he has to see his professor. Hye Jin understands and leaves for the archery match. On the way, Hye Jin remembers Yang Tae's story about Hwi So's trauma with the narrow and closed room, so he prefers to drive a car with an open roof. Hye Jin understands why Hwi So declined her invitation to join her in the car. Arriving at the lab, Hwi So immediately learned to drive a car using VR, so his friends immediately pulled Hwi So into the field and told him to learn to drive using a closed car directly. In the car, Hwi So is seen wearing swimming goggles, while Ha-na, who is the instructor, sits next to him. In the middle of practice, Hwi So seems to have difficulty breathing, so Ha-na immediately takes off Hwi So's swimming goggles and tells him to breathe normally. Soon enough, Hwi So realizes he is no longer afraid of being in a car and can drive a car well. Hwi So immediately takes the test to get a driver's license. On that day, the two of them succeeded in achieving the things they wanted to do. Next, Hye Jin asks Hwi So, who never asks about her legs. Hwi So responds with a medical analogy. Later, Hye Jin also asks Hwi So about the glasses he's been wearing since he came, and Hwi So replies that it's his habit. When Hye Jin complimented and stroked Hwi So's head, suddenly a car from behind honked, so Hwi So panicked and hit the road divider. Hwi So then remembered when he was bullied by his classmates, who locked him in the school locker. Hwi So, who has a trauma with a narrow room, triggers a panic disorder to relapse until he faints. At the hospital, Hye Jin waits anxiously for Hwi So outside the room. Hwi So's mother then approached Hye Jin and tried to calm her by saying that her son was fine. Hwi So's mother also said that it wasn't anyone's fault. Instead, she thanks Hye Jin for helping Hwi So change for the better. Not long after, Hye Jin's father came and said that she should not date a man who has a mental illness like Hwi So. An annoyed Hye Jin says her father should take care of his own life while leaving her father. Unexpectedly, Hwi So overhears the conversation between Hye Jin and her father. When Hwi So meets Hye Jin in front of the hospital, he asks Hye Jin not to see each other again. An irritated Hye Jin says that if Hwi So wants to live by running away, then he'll just stay in his room. At the practice site, Hye Jin tries to divert her sadness with an arrow. Since she wasn't focused, his shots kept missing until one of her colleagues came to comfort Hye Jin and hugged her. Her partner asks Hye Jin to tell someone else when she's sad. Hearing this, Hye Jin starts to cry and tells her that she did wrong to Hwi So for treating him like that without knowing that he has flaws. Sometime later, Hwi So looks alone and gloomy. Meanwhile, Hye Jin asks her sister to bring her cello for her to play before selling it. On the day of the final match, Hye Jin is seen preparing to compete. Meanwhile, in front of Hwi So's house, his friends are trying to coax him out of the room and even try to force open Hwi So's door but fail. Inside the room, Hwi So seems distracted by the arrival of his friends and tries to distract himself by looking at VR. However, while using the VR, he remembered Hye Jin's words that it was better to ask for help from humans than robots. In Hwi So's mind, Hye Jin asks if he will help her when she asks for help. Hwi So wakes up and realizes that he doesn't want to keep running away from life. After that, he runs out to his car, followed by his friends. On the field of play, Hye Jin looks less focused because she remembers her memories with Hwi So. Meanwhile, Hwi So is driving his car in a hurry, causing his friends to panic in the passenger seat. An unfocused Hye Jin misses her aim, and her coach asks her to aim at 9 o'clock. Meanwhile, Hwi So, originally wearing swimming goggles, suddenly removes the glasses. His friends are even more panicked because of this. In the third round of the archery match, the coach cheers Hye Jin again and gives directions again. But Hye Jin confidently says that she wants to do it her own way. At the same time, Hwi So and his friends arrive at the match's location, which takes Hye Jin by surprise. Hwi So then goes to Hye Jin and tells her he will stop running away. He also says he wants to be with Hye Jin and be by her side. Then, Hwi So gives her his medal and encourages Hye Jin to beat all her opponents. The third round begins, and it looks Hye Jin hits the target perfectly, as well as her opponent, so that Hye Jin and her opponent get the same points. Due to the draw, the match continued even though it was raining. When it's her turn, Hye Jin remembers all the good memories, so she's more confident. Finally, Hye Jin gets higher points and wins. Everyone seemed happy with her win. A few months later, Hye Jin's little sister puts her things in the car's trunk and prepares to leave for an overseas student exchange. Hye Jin begins to get along with her father too, so she doesn't sell her cello. On campus, Hye Jin sees a banner announcing Yang Tae and Ha Na's wedding. She then asks about the banners belonging to the two of them. Hwi So then points to the side of Yang Tae's banner and sees a larger banner attached with a photo of Hye Jin. The banner contains an announcement that Hwi So has become Hye Jin's boyfriend. His friends also congratulated them both. Then, they decided to go to Donkasu restaurant. Arriving there, Hwi So's friends were surprised because they had to climb a fairly high stairs. Yang Tae and Chang Gil immediately offered to carry Hye Jin. However, Hwi So informs them that he has made an automatic foot on Hye Jin's wheelchair, which doesn't work. At the end of the film, Hwi So is seen carrying Hye Jin up to the restaurant, followed by his friends. The moral message that we can learn from this film is that accepting one's strengths and weaknesses is an important thing to live a better life every day.